With the SimRat market, fall brawl, and even now Thanksgiving in the rear view, we've got turkey and holiday greetings in our minds heading into the SARA Impel National Tour's 8th race of 2025, the Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic. Say that 5 times fast. This 250-lap high bank and late model stock car thriller is about to be a blast. These cars are tons of fun to drive, especially on a racetrack like Southern National Motorsports Park. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in virtual Lucama, North Carolina. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and of course we are back with another SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour race. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Impel Motorsports, Privateer Race Products, and by Whiplash Simcams. And we can take a look at this evening's track map for, of course, Southern National Motorsports Park, this very high-banked, short track, 4/10 of a mile, that I think really doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Opened back in 1993, closed in 2008, and then reopened later on in 2012. This is, it's gone through a roller coaster kind of history, Southern National has. Again, opened pretty late in the game, 93, closed in 08, reopened in 12, but it's a really cool racetrack, a lot of fun to race at, and definitely I think deserves a lot of attention in the short track racing space. Qualifying is getting going. Before we get too far into that, I do want to take a look at the schedule. Here's a look at it. This shows you really just that we're here for race 8 of 9. The Nautical Marine Current Winter Classic was added at the back end of this season. That's where we're headed to next in a couple of weeks' time. And in between now and then, of course, we've got a few other things to talk about. We'll get to this graphic in a little bit, but I do want to mention a lot of these drivers, or some of these drivers anyways, are back on track in late model stocks this Saturday in a new event that we've been hyping up a little bit as the weeks have been going on. But point standings as qualifying gets going, here is a look at them. Alex McCullum on top. He has been stealing the show. He is easily the driver to beat. I would say Josh Harberts might be Jacob Harberts rather. For some reason I mixed that up. Jacob Harberts I think is next kind of in that line of drivers to watch for tonight. We haven't seen Cole Cabry lately, so it's really it's Black Magic Performance, Alex McCullum, Jacob Harberts, maybe even Kendall Tucker at the top of the list right now of guys to beat. And look at that, Jacob Harberts to the top of the board. We'll revisit these graphics throughout the course of the night as we do have some preliminary racing to get through, but for now let's get properly into the sim here as qualifying is getting going for a handful of drivers. Jacob Harberts, you saw him go to the top of the board. Here is his number 80. And we haven't seen these late model stocks in a while. It's been since, I think Langley is, or no, rather Martinsville, as Tracy Petter will go fastest now and immediately get out of the car. Blake Thronberg going to go for a lap here. Actually, he's going to pull it down to the inside. He's also in that Black Magic Performance camp, and he's representing well, going third on the timing charts. Still waiting for Alex McCullum to hit the racetrack. Let's move on down to Kyle Terzak. He is going to be high up on our new power rankings that we'll take a look at here in just a little bit. Terzak's lap of 13.73. That's good for third. How about Dante Curtis? To the line, 13.774. He shuts it down. Cameron Hamilton, car number 10. To the line, 13.839. He's got to go a bit faster, I'd say. He'll try to do so here on lap number 2 to improve from 14th spot. He's ahead of guys like Rick Rube and Spencer Dickinson, but behind guys like Nim Cross, Keith Jeffrey, and Steven Oberstadt. That lap slower for Hamilton. Drew Wooten hitting the racetrack in car number 2, but here we go. Alex McCullum on track in car number 1. This is the lap time I think everybody's going to have to beat. Now 20 drivers will advance straight from this qualifying session. Alex's first lap, well clear into the top 20, that's for sure. It's going to be good for a 13.693 and pole time. No surprise there. Alex McCullum will certainly advance on into the show just like that. How about Joel Smith, first lap? It is a 16.501, maybe. It seems like it might not have counted, might have tagged the wall. Lap number 2 for Joel. See, 13.782, that's 13th place. Hey, that's in the show. So if you look at just the top 20 times, and if we look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details, you'll see time trials. The top 20 will lock in. Then we'll set up for two 20-lap Q races, heat races, LCQ races, whatever you want to call them. 20-lap. They advance 4 each. They set the field pretty much. Then we'll take 2 provisionals behind that to make a 30-car field. Cautions will count all night long. Open setup all night long. And 2 green-white checkers, as far as I know, all night long as well. When we get to the main race, it'll be a 250-lap race, 100 miles in total. But for now, the drivers advancing. Let's go through this list. You can see it on the left side of the screen. But the drivers advancing straight into the race from qualifying alone. McCullum, Petter, Harberts, Turzak, Wooten, Thronberg, Massengill, Horton, Parrish, and Curtis. How about Ledbetter, Meyer, Smith, Cottle, and Cross? Then Jeffrey, Oberstadt, Hamilton, Rube, and Dickinson. The separation at 20th and 21st place between Spencer Dickinson and Darrell Hamlin, 6/1000ths of a second between those two drivers. That will send Hamlin, Shepard, Vorndran, Hayes, Roush, Gallman, Williams, Lynch, Rolfe, Langford, Tracy, and Oswald through the heat races this evening. And boy, that's going to be a tough task. Only 2 drivers will be sent home. So the overwhelming majority of drivers are safe. So maybe not time to panic just yet. But these drivers definitely need to be on their A game. That is for sure. So in a week full of racing across the country, some high dollar tickets out there for, of course, the Snowball Derby later this week, Gateway Dirt Nationals, and so much more going on across the United States for racing and the world with the Formula One Championship later this week. Let's get down to our first starting grid of the evening. On pole, and this, of course, is heat number 1, but on the Lucky Performance starting grid pole is Darrell Hamlin in car number 7. Matt Vorndran will bring us to the green in second place. How about Sam Roush? RJ Williams there, row number 2, and row 3 consists of just Matt Rolfe and Eric Tracy. 6 cars. That's all we got for this first heat. So nice and tidy. I mean, this is basically 2/3 of the field moves on, just 1/3 of the field does not. You don't really need to panic, but you definitely need to be on your A game. You can't fall behind here early. A big thank you to our partners that allow us to do these broadcasts week in, week out, not only with the SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour, but that's what we have on the graphic here this evening. Of course, Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, RJW21 Management, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimRepMarket.com, The Association, Thronberg Construction, Trackside Threads, and Velocity Motorsports. You see there on the Cody Williams Design weather conditions, we're looking at about 68 degrees in the air. That's about 74 on track. Let's watch from high in the sky as we take our first green flag of the evening, and we are racing here at heat number 1 in the Thanksgiving Classic. So lap number 1 of the Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic. Technically, I know it's not the feature, obviously, but as far as actual racing goes to Darrell Hamlin in car number 7. 2 laps away here at our heat race, Sam Roush gets cleared a second spot, and this is going to be a nice warm-up for these drivers. Obviously, they don't want to be racing right now because that means they're having to take it through the heats, but it'll be a nice warm-up regardless, as the cut line currently is going to be Matt Rolfe battling with Matt Vorndran just ahead there of RJ Williams and Eric Tracy. No matter who goes home out of this one, these are a bunch of SARA regulars at this point, and it's going to be tough to send any of these drivers home. On board, though, with Eric Tracy. Back in the field right now. You just listen to these cars. I really love, and I'll say this every time we do a late model stock race, I feel like, I love the sound of these race cars. My time covering the Cars Tour, really fell in love with these cars, getting up on the ship and diving down into the corners, picking back up through the RPM band, and heading back down the straightaway all over again. I just love the way these cars sound. It is an iconic sound for sure. Side-by-side racing, third and fourth, nearly halfway through heat number 1. A new look to the SARA machine for Matt Rolfe. He's got red adorning that number 0 this week. Typically see him in some kind of blue and orange race car, but I really like this new look as he works on the inside of the Nat'l chassis and RJW21 management Chevrolet Camaro of Matt Vorendra, and these two guys are safe, and I wonder how much they're thinking about that. You know, you don't really have to win this battle, you just need to keep the other two cars behind you. That said, Rolfe slips up that time in 3 and 4. RJ Williams takes a look. Here comes Eric Tracy on the outside. And on board now with RJ Williams. Hey, for those of you watching over on YouTube, this is something we've just worked on today. We've got some new thumbnails hitting the platform, hitting the channel. We've been working on some new designs with promo images and thumbnails and such, and they're making their way out finally. So, I want to know, you guys, you had to either tap or click on the thumbnail to open this video. What'd you think of it? You know, kind of improvement? But what do you think as we watch these heats? I know there's action, and we're watching this closely, but there's not too much I can keep saying about the same few cars running in a line right now trying to get into the race. So, without droning on too much, you had to see the thumbnail to open the video. What do you think? We'd love to hear some thoughts as we work on some new designs and freshen things up heading into 2026. Meanwhile, from high above the racetrack here, 4 laps to go in heat number 1, Matt Rolfe is safe, but slipping up, and RJ Williams might send him to provisional territory here. Again, the top 20 advance from qualifying. The next 4 in each heat will move on. That makes 28, and we'll fill the field with 29 and 30, being a couple of provisionals. You don't want to have to rely on that. But for these two, that's where they're looking at right now. The 0 and 21, last 2 laps here of heat race number 1, fighting it out for the final transfer spot. Rolfe dives heavy into turn 1 on the outside. RJ Williams fills the inside. Side by side still through 3 and 4. It's going to be a drag race to the line. RJ Williams has got him. Matt Rolfe will not advance through the heat race. I would imagine, of course, being a SARA veteran, as I would hope he would be, that he should have a leg up on at least 1 or 2 other drivers for a provisional. I'm not sure exactly what the criteria will be. Don't quote me on anything like that, but I would think that he will still be in the race, just unfortunately a little further back than he would like to be. Meanwhile, here we go. Christopher Shepard going to lead us to the second green flag of the evening in car number 19. Jacob Hayes. Golly, I love this wrap. You can see it there on the outside. I mean, that is straight up gold, bronze, something. I don't even know what to call it there on the one car. But that is really, really good looking for Jacob Hayes. He always has good paint schemes. How about Kenneth Gallman? He rolls off from the inside of row number 2. To his outside, Wesley Lynch. Now, these two are both a couple of newcomers as far as the national tour goes. We don't see much of them. They were added this week, but we've seen them at some other events that we've covered in the last year or two. And it's good to see them here this evening. Hopefully they can both transfer in. Gallman out of, I believe, Easley, South Carolina. Wesley Lynch, I believe, out of Vail, North Carolina. They are a couple of Carolina racers for sure, and I'd like to see them in this feature event tonight. Still Langford and Josh Oswald, though, try to put them out of the race, or at least move themselves in through the course of this 20-lap heat race. That's the grid for heat number 2. Let's let the race cars do the talking. Pace car in, restart zone, green flag, heat 2. And 2 laps complete here. Christopher Shepard on lap 1 dropped back to that second spot. Kenneth Gallman works now on his back bumper. And sinking to the rear, Wesley Lynch not firing off very well so far in this heat race. Sliding now behind Josh Oswald. Maybe. These two need to get single file and figure out who's going to go chase the others down. They cannot afford to run side by side like this, or they will both miss the show. Lynch a little free there off of turn 4. Clearly that car not handling the way he needs it to on a short run. They're almost making they are making contact. Oh, man. Yeah, Oswald finally lets that 29 car go. I think these two need to just get single file, start running some laps, stop the bleeding, start to pack some gauze in there, tie a tourniquet, and get after it. These 4 are all driving away. Hayes, Shepard, Gallman, Langford. There you see the 4 currently in transfer spots and the 2 chasing. Jacob Hayes started to drive away from that 19 car, although it has slowed. The gap that's been built there between first and second. That said, Shepard now going to have to start worrying about Gallman from behind. You saw just how close they were there through 1 and 2. Nearing halfway, just a lap away. And it is very close for the second and third positions. Here's the onboard with Kenneth Gallman. And I want to be optimistic. I truly do. But frankly, Lynch and Oswald just don't have it right now. They are not running the 33 down at all, and that's a tall order. Steele Langford has been up there lately. In fact, he's on our top 10 of power rankings. I'll spoil that now before we look at it there in warm-up here shortly. But the 33 car has been really, really good lately. I'm surprised to see him this far back when this is lining up in 28th spot. I'm very shocked to see Steele this far down the order as far as qualifying speed and now race pace, even in the heat. I would think Steele should be fighting for the win of this heat. Instead, he's back here. That car, oh my gosh, it's not driving at all. It's floating through the corner. I wouldn't even call that driving right now. It's not. That was a little better. Here's the onboard. Something's not handling correct in that 33. I might be a washed-up broadcaster, but oh, that's not it. That's not it at all. Oh my gosh, he's all over. This is not at all what you want if you're Steele Langford. Again, has been getting really, really good lately. Moved over to the posse very recently, and I think that was a decent move for him. But so far, it's not looking good for tonight's program. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Jacob Hayes is going to win our second heat race of the night. It'll be Shepard, Gallman, and Langford moving on. Lynch and Oswald sent to provisional territory. We'll find out shortly who's going to move on. Of course, as Matt usually does, it'll be handled through the consolation portion of the sim session. So you see we're in a consi now. This will help kind of reveal who's actually racing tonight in those final 2 spots. But while we wait on that, let's take a look at the power rankings that I mentioned. Of course, I want to preface this track stats mostly. It is very heavily based on stats. I can tell you I do submit my personal top 10 just to kind of weight it, but really all that does is make tiebreakers. This is based on a score of 0 to 100, and usually my input really only moves the needle 1 or 2 numbers total. So as I bring up this graphic, this is solely on driver's merit for the most part. I would say like McCullum's score is probably 75 or 76, all his stats, and the extra 2 to get to 78.6 is what the little bit that we put in. So hopefully that gives kind of some understanding of how this number actually comes to be. This is on stats. Certain things are weighted more than others. Recent races are weighted a little bit heavier. But McCullum is soaring. This is, I believe, the highest score we've ever seen with this system. 78.6 is starting to reach the ceiling of what I think is really possible in these kinds of leagues. He is just knocking it out of the park lately. So as Matt Rolfe and Eric Tracy slowly pace around to make their way into the consolation provisional positions, I mentioned Steele Langford there, who just went through Heat 2 and finished at the back of that heat, that he's in the top 10 in the power rankings. I would expect him to be qualifying in, frankly. So it's very telling, I think, that his car is not handling right. He's having some trouble here tonight, and we'll have to watch out for car 33 in the feature. But others that I think are worth noting, Spencer Dickinson is back on the list for the not first time, I think like third time in a row. He's kind of like... Spencer is an enigma. I don't know how he manages it, but he just kind of shows up when he needs to and gets a decent finish. He doesn't necessarily always run that well. No offense, Spencer. You just kind of finish really well. And that's okay. It's okay. Spencer will run 15th for 249 laps, and on lap 250, get 8th. I don't know how it works. I don't know what racing gods he's paying off, but Spencer Dickinson in the top 10 in power rankings. He's also just more consistent than a lot of these guys, which is fair. So he's up there with guys like Cam Hamilton, Daniel Pope, Steele Langford, Trevor Edwards, and Cole Cabry. They were much higher as far as the score goes, but they've missed a couple of races, so they've dropped. So take that all with a grain of salt. This is also, of course, over the Super Series and the National Tour. So this is taking into account everything at the top level of this league. It's not just the National Tour and not just the Super Series that gets weighted in here, since it is mostly the same drivers racing against one another. So anyways, those are your top 10 in power rankings. I would say the biggest takeaway is the top 3. McCullum, Harbert, certainly, and Terzak. As of late, Kyle Terzak has been a ton of fun to watch, and there he is as warm-up opens up and everybody hits the racetrack together. Kyle Terzak has been very, very fun to watch, very quick, and getting better and better as these weeks go by. So, the RKM driver, one to watch here again this evening. As we take a look around the racetrack just a little bit, we can see who is practicing kind of where on the timing chart in this session. There you see Kyle Terzak. He is in 8th spot right now. Alex McCullum, no surprise, he leads the session. Cameron Hamilton 2nd. Josh Cottle in 3rd. Kyle Terzak jumps into 4th. Chris Horton now in the top 5. He won recently at Nashville in the All-American 300. Jacob Hayes, 6th. That's pretty impressive. Tracy Petter in the 7th spot. Drew Wooten into 8th. How about Blake Massengill in 9th? And Jacob Harbert so far in the top 10 in practice. And Steele Langford, boy, he was all over in his heat race. Is he handling any better? Seems like he's starting to get it figured out. It's definitely driving in a much straighter line than it was there in heat race number 2. So we like that for Steele. As these drivers do their practice laps here in this session, want to take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. I showed this graphic earlier because I want some big time attention around what we're doing Saturday. We have a rare Saturday show this week, partnering up with Only Short Tracks for the Myrtle Beach 300. And we've worked with Only Short Tracks in the past, specifically alongside the Sim Auto Racing Association, or of course SARA, who we're here with this evening, in this exact series. Back at Oxford, they ran a late model stock race ahead of the super late model race, and it was fantastic. A lot of those, I mean, that was, I think, the cleaner of the two races. The Oxford 250 was still a really good race, really fantastic, and that was awesome. But I was really impressed by what the field did in that Only Short Tracks race, and they are back on the channel, in this case on their own, for their own Myrtle Beach 300 later this week. Late model stocks, Myrtle Beach Speedway, what is not to love there? Of course, kind of paying homage to the South Carolina 400 that used to be run at Myrtle Beach, now gets run at Florence Motor Speedway. So this is going to be must-watch sim racing, I feel. Some really good late model stock drivers heading out to Myrtle Beach this Saturday. A decent bit of crossover. I think we're going to see Matt Rolfe, Nim Cross, and some others head over from the National Tour and the Super Series and go run that race. It is a lot of the same guys. So I'm excited to see how this race goes later this week. I'm excited to get things started, I think, properly with Only Short Tracks and build on a good relationship there. The next couple of weeks, we have some ARCA racing, ARCA style racing anyways, at the BRB Sundance Pro Series. We head to Pocono Raceway and Auto Club Speedway the next 2 weeks with those teams and drivers. A couple of big speedways for those little ARCA cars on Tuesdays. Time charts, once again, here at the back end of this warm-up session. I believe we're only using 5 of the allotted 10 minutes. McCullum still on top. Hamilton, Parrish. That's cool to see. Josh Parrish, I know he wants to do well tonight. He, of course, has been adorning those privateer colors for a very long time, and I believe he is kind of the brains behind that operation. So Josh Parrish, very cool to see him in the top 3, top 5, top 10, whatever you want to call it. Third place is awesome to see for Josh. Chris Horton up there. Josh Cottle in 5th, Kyle Turzak, Jacob Hayes, Tracy Petter, Drew Wooten, Blake Massengill, your top 10. I'd say guys that are still looking for pace would be Tracy, Dickinson, Langford, Williams, Smith, Joel Smith down at 25th, Chris Shepard, Steven Oberstadt, Sam Roush, Nim Cross, and Rick Rube, all looking for a little more race pace as this warm-up progresses. We should be advancing here in just a moment. Yep, there we go. And going on into the race session. Want to remind you all then of the Whiplash SimCams race details. We, of course, just saw the time trials and the 2 20-lap Q races, followed by the provisional process there during that little consi session. Cautions will count tonight. Open setup, 2 green-white checkers. This is a 250-lap race, 100 total miles with 30 cars on track. Weather conditions as the sim progresses later in the day. If we look at the date and time, it's set to be November the 30th. So, not even a week ago. I guess matching the real event at 3 p.m. So, very much accurate. I think a little warm even for Lucama, North Carolina. Granted, it is the eastern side of the state, and maybe, but it was definitely pretty cold at Southern National this past week, and I know we can't quite simulate that, so I suppose this is pretty close to the coldest we can get, but still feels a little warm for the end of November in Lucama. But regardless, pretty cool temps, cool racetrack, a lot of grip out there, I'd say, for these guys. It might take a little bit longer for them to build tire temp, so we'll see if maybe they pit a little sooner to get their set of tires a little bit earlier. They do have one set laying in the pit lane. I forgot to mention that in the race details. One set laying tonight, meaning they will likely take right sides at some point during tonight's race. But let's get straight to it. We have got the Lucky Performance starting grid coming at you with Alex McCullum on pole, Tracy Petter second place. He's been qualifying really well lately. Let's see if he can finish up front. He's certainly been racing like he can, just needs to put it all together. Starting third, Jacob Harberts. Fourth, Kyle Turzak. There you go, three. Well, the three drivers I mentioned from the power rankings to watch for are in the top four on the grid. Drew Wooten from the fifth spot. How about Blake Thronberg? Let's go on back to Blake Massagill, Chris Horton there in row 4. Then Josh Parrish and Dante Curtis round out your top 10. It'll be Bo Ledbetter from 11th, Kyle Meyer from 8th, or from 12th. I don't know where I got 8th from. I guess the 88. Joel Smith, 13th, then Josh Cottle. How about Nim Cross, Keith Jeffrey, Stephen Oberstadt, Cameron Hamilton, Rick Rube, and Spencer Dickinson, the remainder of your top 20. On down to the final few rows, Daryl Hamlin, Jacob Hayes, Sam Roush, Chris Shepard, Matt Vorndran back in the 25th spot, Kenneth Gollin back in 26th, and back to 27th and 28th, the final two to advance from the heats. Those are RJ Williams and Steele Langford. The provisionals, of course, as we saw, Matt Rolfe and Eric Tracy from heat number 1. I believe the iRacing.com safety car is taking the pit lane this time by. If not, it'll be next time. And yeah, these drivers kind of lazily cycling around, so we're not restarting just yet. We are seeing some issues out there for Drew Wooten. He is not on the racetrack. I'm unsure as to what's going on for driver number 2. But everybody else is getting packed up. It looks like they're starting to get closer together. I dare say we are about to go green. The Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic is green in virtual Lucama. A stack up on the start, but we're racing into turn 1. Already a caution, lap 1 will count. Alex McCollum will lead it. Sam Roush is at the very back of the train. I wonder if this might have included him, and yeah, he's got some left side damage. So our first replay of the night. Let's go back and see what happened here on the start. Back with guys like Jacob Hayes and Matt Vorndran down to turn 1. Here we go. Oh boy, Jacob Hayes. Not a good start. The paint scheme looked good. The move did not. He slides down. I mean, he's got a gap to go down low. I mean, it's lap 1 at 250. I don't know if that risk needs to be taken, but that's just me. I mean, we ran 250 green at 5 flags in the fall brawl. I think set the bar for what these races can and should be. As there's the choose in the back straightaway for the first time. I just don't know that risk needed to be taken in turn 1, lap 1, and I think hopefully these guys kind of settle it down and get some laps in from here, as we will go 1 to green, I believe, this time. We will. Ah, yes, Carter Hollingsworth. Nothing gets past him. It was the 6-7 car that got the final provisional. I wonder if that's what was on Matt's mind there. The caution has been extended. Jacob Hayes is still cycling around the racetrack. He's at the back of the field, though. He is 1 lap down. He got caught in the pit lane, it looks like. And then Steele Langford is back there as well. There he is. He's going to line up at the very back, but here we go. Restart coming. We are green once again here at Southern National. Here we go, 1 lap in from a proper start this time. McCollum pulls away, Harberts to second, Turzak to third. How about Thronberg to 4th? He tried to lock down the entire top 3 for Black Magic Performance. It's not going to happen that time, but he goes to work from that 4th position now. McCollum fastest. How about Chris Horton up here in the top 5? Tracy Petter down to his inside. And Blake Massengill has got a fantastic view of this fight for the 5th position on board. Starting to get some laps in now after that early caution. Josh Parrish sitting here in the 8th spot. He was fast in that warm-up session. Has some work to do in the actual race session. He's already up 1 spot, but that's not saying a whole lot. Working now on the 42 of Chris Horton. Oh, Ledbetter, Joel Smith right in behind. Oh, cars all over. Josh Parrish around, saves it. We stay green. He gets into Dante Curtis now, and Parrish sent reeling. He's got some left front damage on that Privateer Race Products 55. But you know what? I think he'll take the fact that he's still in the race, pointed forward, and has a chance to regroup. Joel Smith now to the inside. Jacob Harbert's with trouble. He's having some connection issues in 2nd place. Terzak going to get by him. There you see another blink for the 80 car. A lot is happening very suddenly here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Harbert's still blinking. He's back now for a moment. He's gone again. Petter's right behind him. Watch that blue car ahead. Is he going to blink anymore? It seems to have calmed down. Let's try and get a replay of what in the world happened to Josh Parrish. So car 55, this is about a lap before it happens. He's got Ledbetter behind, Horton ahead. Here's turn 3. I'm not sure what happened behind, but Parrish had to check up and Ledbetter just did not get the message. Here's another look. Oh, I see. Okay, Massengill got Petter. Yeah, Massengill got Petter, Horton reacted, and then Parrish just instinctively got on the brakes. Let's see that again. So watch here from the top side of Parrish's car. Watch 2 cars ahead. That white car, that's Massengill. He's going to tap the blue car. You can barely see it, but he taps the blue car Petter. Yeah, that's just a classic chain reaction in a line around the bottom side of the racetrack, and boy, I am glad they all kept it moving and did not have a big incident out of that. Josh Collin now works in the back of Josh Parrish. This for 12th position. Neither of these guys want to be this far back. Meanwhile, for the race lead, here we go. Alex McCullum, Kyle Terzak. This is the front of the field. Harberts has stabilized. I'm not sure what was going on there for a moment, but the 80 had all sorts of blinks. Petter, though, has also kind of settled down. He's in 5th. Massengill behind in 6th. They have sorted things out, or so it seems. And now Ledbetter is ahead of Joel Smith. I'm not going to lie, Joel Smith had me worried there in that practice session. He was well down the order. I mean, below 20th. But here he is, top 10. He started 13th and gained some spots in that melee that happened out of turn 4 when Parrish got sent sideways. But the 24 car looks okay now. top 10. I mean, that's always going to feel like a win with this set of drivers. See the lineup behind Horton, Meyer, Curtis, and others. Parrish, Cottle, Hamilton. This field has gotten very, very spread out. Drew Wooten has joined the race. He joined about 8 laps late. And there you see the Shug Steakhouse number 2. Finally made it onto the racetrack. Something might have happened in his situation, but he's at least going to try to get back in it. He's 8 laps down right now, so while these guys work lap 33, he's on lap 25, I believe. Jacob Hayes is 1 lap down, and he is right on the back end of Steele Langford. So if we get a caution, Hayes can absolutely get back in this race. Langford, though, back of the field right now, and starting to be within the threat of being put 1 lap down. You see the leaders not too far behind. These guys out of turn 2 right here. McCullum into turn 2, just a little further back. So definitely not what those tail end guys want to see in their rear view, but that's just the reality of going green at a place like Southern Nationals. We've got a battle here between Meyer and Parrish. I believe Parrish has gone to the outside of Meyer here to try to go by. It's working for now. Parrish gets in the wall. I think the 55 has got a rocket underneath him. He just needs a chance to let it fly. Like, this might be the event for Josh. I know he spots for a lot of drivers. I think mostly Carson Hayslip on the Cars Tour Pro Late Model side, but I know this race has got to mean a lot to him. There's a reason Privateer is on this one as the Privateer Thanksgiving Classic. Be very cool to see him get back up to the top 5 or so at the very least, if not top 3 even. For car 55. I hate that he has the damage on that side of the car already, but that is part of it. Alex McCullum still leading the race, of course, and has not looked back one bit since the drop of the green. Starting to set sail now from Kyle Terzak. If we look at the lap time comparison between them, here it is. It's not that different, actually, and it's actually plateaued, I think. I mean, the last lap, McCullum was technically a hair slower. This lap, Terzak, actually a decent bit faster. This time around, pretty even between them. It's going to be lap traffic, though, that I think becomes the great equalizer between these guys. I think that's pretty fair to say and easy to see at this point in the race. As that lap, again, McCullum just a tick slower than Terzak, as Terzak tries to keep touch and even reel that one car back in. Battle further back. The sun drop number 6 of Spencer Dickinson on the inside of Darrell Hamlin in the 7. Hamlin pulls away. That is Keith Jeffrey behind him. New look on that number 88 car. Hadn't noticed that just yet. H&H Surf and Speed Shop. I like that. Some great battles back here as you're watching Kenneth Gallman now put some pressure on Steven Oberstadt. This is for the 20th spot. I believe we'll see Oberstadt in the Myrtle Beach 300 this Saturday. Some brand new Nat'l chassis and Privateer Race Products colors in that number 3. That looks really, really good. Going though up the inside of car number 3, and Oberstadt will lose that spot. Tracy now going to fill the gap. Working on that last to first challenge is Eric Tracy up to 21st spot now. And Sam Roush follows suit. He goes on by that 3 car as Oberstadt sinks just a little bit. And McCollum getting closer and closer to lap traffic. You can see it there in the foreground. That is Rick Rube these guys are chasing down. Rick runs in spot number 28. I've not seen Rick in one of these races before. Good to see him though. Rick out of Ohio with Islander in on the side of that number 81. Turzak starting to bear down on race leader Alex McCollum. We haven't really seen McCollum be challenged for the lead in a while. He kind of wrestled it away at 5 flags in the fall brawl and just never looked back. But now as these guys approach lap traffic, the 15 is putting pressure on car 1, and this is going to make things that much more interesting. And these are not drivers that are just going to roll over. At least I don't think so. I mean, even if they do, they're respectable drivers ahead. Especially Jacob Hayes and Steele Langford. We know a lot about those two. A little bit less about Rick Rube, admittedly. He's new to us, but regardless, good drivers ahead of this one car that are going to have to go a lap down, or a second lap down in the case of Jacob Hayes. McCollum passes Rube. Turzak, though, a little bit of trouble. Lost a bit of time there to McCollum. The good news is there's a gap before they hit any more lap traffic, so even if Turzak loses some time, you'll have a little bit of racetrack to try and run that one back down a little bit. And Langford isn't just moving over here for McCollum. Langford is running his line, running his race. Alex, though, gets a run here, and that's going to be an easy setup there for turn number 3. But a setup is not a pass, and there you see McCollum gets into Langford. McCollum, the race leader, trying to pass Steele Langford to put him a lap down. Some contact here on the backstretch. Langford making it hard on Alex. That's going to help Turzak run the one car down. And Langford back to the inside. He's going to race the leader. Langford is not happy about the position that he's in at this point in time, and he's kind of taking it out here on Alex. As it's now one car on one car here. McCollum to the inside of Hayes. Contact there in turn 4. McCollum will now look high as Langford just about moves over for Kyle Turzak. McCollum still working here on Jacob Hayes. It is not easy going. And this obviously going to help Turzak in at least some facet, some regard. Unsure exactly how much it's going to help the 15 car, but typically drivers will fight the leader a lot more than they will fight second place. And we're seeing that. Steele fought McCollum for a handful of laps, tried to dive back on him, but then let the 15 go as Hayes is putting up a fight now on the one car. Hayes is already a lap down. Hayes is in 29th, already one lap down. More contact there at a 2. This is getting rather spirited between these two. I'll be honest, guys, I'm on the side here of Alex McCollum. There's a reason he's the leader, and there's a reason you guys are 27th and 29th. I think that's all there is to say about that. Deeper in this field, some positive news. Josh Parrish is up to 7th, and Matt Rolfe has driven to the top 10. Oh boy. It's been hard to focus in the midfield with everything going on for the lead right now. Ledbetter on the inside of Parrish. This is for 7th and 8th, and Rolfe from the provisional trust in race trim apparently, because he's gone from 29th to now 8th. As he works on the outside of Bo Ledbetter and passes the 87 car. That is a huge, huge move for the Zero. 29th to 8th. Meanwhile, back for the race lead. 2 cars under a blanket as McCollum has fallen back of Jacob Hayes. Now, I mentioned tires earlier. These drivers have one set in the pit lane or whenever they would like to take them. I honestly thought we would have more cautions before now, or before now, between the beginning of the race and now. I thought we would have had another yellow or two. But we've only had the one from lap number 1. So anytime these guys get a caution, really from now to about lap 200, we could see drivers come in for tires. One set, I don't know if you want to take lefts at one point and rights later, or if you just want to go for rights. I don't think you can reasonably do all 4 in one stop. By all means, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I just don't think that's going to be reasonable without losing laps. As McCollum works on Hayes here again. So I think realistically, you're going to be split lefts or rights as more contact happens between these two 1 cars. So I would think probably limit the amount of times you're on pit lane. Just go for the one set of rights somewhere around halfway whenever that caution does fly. Or if you're in the back, maybe you gamble, take the lefts early, the rights late, or some combination thereof. But these two cannot be separated when they get to racing like this. Again, this is not for position. Hayes is already 1 lap down. McCollum is the leader. I know contact is very much not allowed, but I know Alex has got to be wishing he could just punt Hayes out of the way and move on with his life. Big dive here. But you know what? As much as I'm advocating for McCollum here, and oh, big slide job. He gets clear. He's clear and he's gone. That was beautiful. That was really cool to see. But you know what? As I was saying, as much as I'm advocating for McCollum and saying these guys should move, that's the kind of thing that it forces. It forces McCollum to have to get creative and get a little desperate even as the leader. Maybe burn his tires up a little bit and give Terzak more of a chance later on in this race. So it does create some drama. It does force these guys to be a little more creative with their passings. Tracy's around. No caution as of yet. No caution at all. Tracy takes it to the pit lane, and it looks like he's going to be done. He was racing with RJ Williams. You see him loose there in turn 4. It's been a long green flag run, 85 laps or so. Loose out of 2. Williams just tags him. Around he goes. Parks right there in the inside wall. It was just ahead of the leaders as well. So that's what these guys are coming up on. The leaders, that is. Here's another look at it. You see he's loose there. Williams just taps him. As we've got blinking now in the midfield and some side-by-side racing behind them. Oh man, look at this. Rick Rube, the lapper, side-by-side of Spencer Dickinson, and the two iRacing cars are side-by-side. How's this for a photo op? Nim Cross and Sam Roush battle here for 19th spot ahead of Kenneth Gallman. And Nim Cross is also working forward over the course of this race. He started down in 15th. Actually, well, he's been as low as 20th, so he's beginning the move back forward, I suppose, up into 19th. So he's met his floor, wants to start finding his ceiling and move back forward a little bit. Meanwhile, Drew Wooten to the inside of Kenneth Gallman. This not for position, but Williams will be for position behind Gallman, as will Vorndran. So in a field that has been green for 90-some laps, and these guys only being 11 seconds off the race leader, it is go time. They do not want to go a lap down. They've done a fantastic job of hanging on to the lead lap for now, but the leader, Alex McCullum, is approaching. You've got to get going. Contact, Williams into Gallman, good save. Shepard on the back bumper there of Gallman through 1 and 2, but that was a really cool save there out of Kenneth Gallman. Again, driver, I believe, out of Easley, South Carolina. I've seen the Gallman name pop up several times in my adventures across the Carolinas, particularly at Greenville Pickens and Anderson Motor Speedway. So good to see Gallman here this evening in car number 70. Battle for 4th. Matt Rolfe into the top 5. He probably took the green flag about 4.5 seconds back of the race leaders, and he's only now 4.5 seconds back of the race leader, Alex McCullum. Matt started down in 29th spot. This is insane. Thronberg is giving him some trouble. He's got Petter right behind, but Matt Rolfe, oh my gosh. 24 spots in 100 laps. And probably, less than a half hour of racing, or about a half hour of racing. I mean, that is incredible. You don't hear about that often, really, in any field, let alone a SARA National Tour race, let alone for Matt Rolfe. So that's very cool. Does fall back 1 spot, though, as Petter works to the inside, and we have some proper racing here for 4th on back. Thronberg down across Petter's bumper there. The 22 might be going away slightly. That's Thronberg, front of this group, as we go on board here with Blake Massengill. And Rolfe back up underneath the 22 cars, side by side. This for 4th position. This Zero, I don't know where he's getting this speed from, but it is really cool to see. Some more battles behind as Chris Horton works on Josh Parrish. Here's a side by side. Parrish has been up and down through the top 15 or so positions of this race. Hang on. Is that a Christmas tree cake? On the side of Chris Horton's car? Okay. Alright, that's the best paint scheme here. I don't want to hear any argument. That's the one. as the resident Christmas tree cake extraordinaire. Horton, don't get jacked up now. Not on Mountain Dew and Christmas tree cakes. That was scary. That's pretty cool. All of this happening behind that battle ahead with Rolf and Thronberg. And these two battles are becoming one. I mean, Ledbetter's in the middle of that. This is quickly becoming a sea of cars from 4th through about 11th or 12th. See them all on a line there on the front stretch. Whoa! Massive contact there between Hamilton and Horton. I just cannot get enough of that paint scheme on the 42 car. The Christmas tree cakes, that is... I need to stock back up. I've already gone through a few boxes, not gonna lie. It's that time of the year. 'Tis the season, so that's pretty cool. Rolf, Thronberg side by side. Thronberg now on the inside, Rolf on the outside. The advantage has shifted, and look at that. Rolf sets sail very quickly. Gets away from that 22 car. Now Ledbetter left to do some work on Blake Thronberg. Ledbetter might crack the top 5 here. Of course, Langford and Thronberg are not in the same group. So they're not on the same setup by any means, but the 22 now, 120 laps in, looks like the 33 from Heat Race 2. I mean, it is just sour. It is not in the track. It's not driving right. Meanwhile, Parrish gets clear of Petter, dives to the inside of Thronberg. That was scary. Parrish getting a little bit desperate. 3 wide now, turn 3. Horton backs out. Hamilton gets to his inside. Josh whipped the racetrack through some of the marbles. But Parrish not backing down. He wants every bit that he can get out of that 55 car tonight. He's into 7th, working on 6th. Looks to the inside, big run here. And he is now alongside of Blake Thronberg. Josh Parrish working that white line up. That was a slide job, he gets hit for it. But he gets ahead of Blake Thronberg as one car exits the pit lane. That's Darrell Hamlin leaving the pits. And we are at the cross flag lap. McCullum has just taken cross flags. So we are halfway down, halfway to go as McCullum works to lap Vorndran, Williams, and Roush. But this battle here, Thronberg sent up the racetrack, sent packing out of the top 10. Horton now works on Parrish, Petter ahead of Curtis and Hamilton. And pit stops are looming. We might see some green flag pit stops here tonight. That is not what these guys want. I don't think these guys practiced hitting under green here. It is not easy to do, especially in a field of 30 cars. So this could easily get hairy. As Horton works on Parrish again. This is for the 6th position now on lap 130. Holy cow, big move there. Horton gets up ahead of Parrish. Go back to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway back in October. The All-American 300 by Velocity Motorsports. Chris Horton won that race. It had a green flag look to it. In fact, the last 2 National Tour races, I'll say even last 3 if this one continues, have all had green flag looks to them. In October, it was Nashville for the All-American 300 by Velocity Motorsports. Chris Horton went to victory lane. In November, it was Five Flags or Pensacola. Green flag, flag to flag. And it was Alex McCollum winning that race. McCollum now leads. Horton is trying desperately to get there, and he's working now on position number 5. And that is going to be Matt Rolfe ahead of him. As Curtis now works on Parrish. How about this? Dante Curtis moving forward. He started down in 10th, dropped to 13th. He's just been really quiet. A quietly good day for Curtis in the 03. He's had some off days in the last year or two. We've been covering the SARA Impel National Tour and the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. So good to see the 03 having a good night so far. Same for the 10 of Hamilton and the 24 of Smith. Thronberg and Cottle. Oh my goodness. Thronberg all over. Petter's back here all of a sudden. He's dropped all the way back here to 13th spot. All the while, the leaders are approaching even these cars. McCollum has lapped up through 19th position R.J. Williams and now looks to lap Spencer Dickinson and Nim Cross. Alex McCollum, driver out of New Jersey. He's got a 1.8 second lead on Kyle Terzak out of Virginia. Caution! For just the second time tonight, Kenneth Gallman turned around. And Gallman is still parked here. Roush, the other car involved it seems, and he has gotten going already. Gallman is stuck down here. He's got the car fired but can't find the gap. And we got pit stops. McCollum leads him in. Did Terzak? Or pit's not open, maybe. Let's see, does Terzak pit here? He does not. Let's go back and see the incident. You can see it in the background, actually, of the leaders. So for the 70 and 13, here they are. Ahead of the 19 of Shepard. This is out of turn 4. Roush just kind of checks up. Gallman's there. Pretty cut and dry. Just a little bit of contact. But this sets up... Oh, Roush got the inside wall pretty good. This sets up a pit stop opportunity, I would think, for the leaders. They've run a ton of laps on these tires. I would think you'd want to pit and get them. McCollum did pit initially, but... I don't know if the pits were not open or what's going on. He's actually going back up to his spot. I think there might have been a miscommunication. If I had to guess, I would say maybe the pits hadn't opened in time for the one car to pit, and they're trying to give these guys a fair opportunity to all pit together. Yes, here we go. Here come all the leaders. Now, you can pit on both straightaways here at Southern National. I'm not sure how that's being treated for the couple of cars that might have to pit on the backstretch. Well, I suppose Shepard has figured something out. That's one way to do it. Race off pit lane. Terzak's going to win it. Wow. Kyle Terzak might have just shifted this race in his favor with just over 100 laps to go. Bo Ledbetter has stayed out. Now he is pitted. Matt Rolfe going to get back on the racetrack. Him Cross going slow. Chris Shepard in the pit lane. He has found his box finally and taken what seems to be 4 tires. Kenneth Gallman is taking 4. And Drew Wooten is now 9 laps down. It seems he will not improve, but is at least here tonight. Spencer Dickinson, here's Blake Massigill to the pit lane. He's taking left side. So this caution has gone on long enough that I think he has decided, let's go ahead and get all 4. But I think he's going to lose a lap here. Well, there's the pace car. He's going to win the race. So he'll get back out there, will not lose a lap. I dig this. He's only going to drop to about 16th spot. That gets you all 4 tires instead of just 2. I think it's worth the risk. You're not losing that much track position. It might put you at the back of the field for the restart, but if you can get through the lappers decently quick and take care of your stuff, it might actually help in the long run. So I dig the move there, but the biggest move of this caution cycle has to be Kyle Terzak, as there's the choose. Terzak getting the lead. He's going to choose the outside lane here. That is a big, big deal for Kyle Terzak as these guys pace around the racetrack. And you see a bunch of them being released for a waiver round. The caution will be extended a little bit longer. Well, once again, if you need to know what's going on with Pit Stop TV, we have a handful of broadcasts coming up the rest of this calendar year. I think the big short track event, there's 2 really short track events coming up in the next month. We've got this Saturday at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, the Myrtle Beach 300 for only short tracks. Glad to be working with such a fantastic group and taking on a new event with that group. 300 laps at Myrtle Beach this Saturday, and then, of course, the next Impel Motorsports National Tour round at Kern Raceway very soon. Weather conditions under this caution have stagnated. If anything, they've warmed up, I feel like, so nothing really to report there as scoring continues to get sorted out towards the back of the field. This can be a full-time effort sometimes, herding these cats, trying to get them all in the right spot. iRacing does most of the heavy lifting, but sometimes you have certain league procedures and rules, and that just muddies things up. Here we go, green flag once again. We are racing finally again in the Privateer Thanksgiving Classic. It's Terzak, McCullum, Harbert's your top 3. Horton in 4th, Smith in 5th. The field is shaking up a little bit. McCullum runs the fastest lap of anybody, anywhere, at any point in this race. But he is still second place as he works on Kyle Terzak. Less than 100 to go. We've run the lion's share of laps at this point. Watching the onboard here of Alex McCullum. Because McCullum continues to work on this 15 car. Everybody behind is finding their new place in this, and they have, oh my gosh, they have taken off. There are clearly 2 favorites tonight. It's these 2. Terzak and McCullum have got the field covered. That is That's cool, actually. That's cool to see. You just don't see that very often anymore. Now you can see the rest of the field come on through. One pulling off. That's the 2 of Wooten. He's pulling off. It looks like to the pit lane. I think he's calling it a night. Hate to see that for somebody who was competitive through qualifying. And it would have been a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully we'll see Wooten at Kern for the Winter Classic in a couple of weeks. Race leader's going after it still. It's hard for me to break away to anything behind these two because Alex can strike at any point in time. Caution is out. Nim Cross has turned around, or at least was. And the right front of that car has seen better days. The iRacing Arcade, number 07. God, that is a fantastic paint scheme. Don't tell me it was iRacing on iRacing violence. Oh. It was. Roush got the wall. Nim had nowhere to go. Nim Cross, not just a veteran of the various SARA series, but a veteran, of course, of sim racing. Been around this for about as long as I've been alive. And he gets the wall there on the inside after that spin. This gives everybody a chance to kind of reset and think about what they've done to this point and what they need to do differently to move forward. Langford, by the way, seems like he might somewhat be back in it. He's in the pit lane currently, making more adjustments, I would think. And he'll get back out there with adjustments made. I saw Vorndran in the pit lane. Matt is kind of the orchestrator behind the only short tracks Myrtle Beach 300 that I've been working very closely with the last couple of weeks. Good to see Matt here tonight. Just wish he was a few spots higher up as he's running currently in the 24th spot. Quickie yellow for these drivers. We'll go right back to it this time by with about, let's see, 71 laps to go. Restart coming up. Terzak, McCullum, Smith, Harbert, and more. Green flag back in the air in Lucama. Good restart out of McCullum. Oh my gosh, that was nearly contact. Terzak just cleared the one. And that's an important distinction to make, that he did clear McCullum and will stay ahead of that one car. Track position is everything. Just getting clear of McCullum, lap 1 of the restart, is a huge, huge step to potentially winning this race if you're Kyle Terzak. You've got to clear him on all of these restarts. You've got to hold him behind. The moment you give Alex an inch, he's going to take 3 miles. Some battles deeper in this field. Kyle Meyer, Blake Thronberg, Tracy Petter, Matt Rolfe. Matt was so good in that longer run. He has dropped back a little bit through pit stops and such, down to the 12th position currently. But you see, high of 4th. And if this race is allowed to play out, I think he can easily drive back up there. I don't want to go quite as far as saying top 5, because you just never know in this series, but certainly it has to be in consideration for the Zero. It has to be a target. That's Langley winner Kyle Meyer on the inside. We have had a healthy amount of winners this season. I know McCullum has won 3 now. Those being, I believe, Slinger, Oxford, and now the Fall Brawl last time out at 5 Flags. But we've had a healthy handful of winners, from Justin Brooks at South Boston to Kyle Meyer at Langley. I'm trying to rack my brain for who won at Martinsville. Maybe that was McCollum. Regardless, I think it was Cabry. Maybe, yeah, it was Cabry Oxford. It was Cabry Oxford. So I'll backtrack. McCollum won Slinger, then Martinsville, and now Five Flags. So if anything, he's gotten better as the season has gone on, and as we've broken into fall here. Cabry won Oxford. That's not the first time I've made that mistake. Regardless, a handful of different winners. Meyer, Horton, and Brooks, I think, are definitely the three that are kind of surprises. You know, wouldn't usually mark them as race winners in one of these seasons. Certainly, they're all capable of it, just maybe a little bit more surprising than others as we get racing again here for position number 1. I mean, this is kind of rinse and repeat lap after lap. Also, I was about 10 laps off there when I said we had 71 to go. That was 81 to go at that time. Now we're inside of 70 to go. Blake Thornberger, we saw headed to the rear earlier, has kind of stabilized for now. 9th position, right behind his teammate Dante Curtis and ahead of Tracy Petter. I don't recall exactly where Thronberg is from. I want to say Lexington, North Carolina, but this is relatively local to him. This has got to be a racetrack he wants to win at, or at least perform well at. And there's going to be a lot of guys, obviously, in that category. I mentioned, Josh Parrish earlier. I've had the pleasure of meeting Josh at Martinsville a couple of years ago, rather. There's a lot of drivers in this series from North Carolina in general. So just looking at North Carolina, not even taking into account Virginia or South Carolina, you've got Jacob Hayes, you've got Spencer Dickinson, Blake Massengill, R.J. Williams, Blake Thronberg, Joel Smith, Wesley Lynch, Chase Robertson, Steele Langford, Chris Horton. I mean, the list goes on. Josh Parrish, Dante Curtis. So there's a lot of drivers here who want to do well at a racetrack like Southern National. Again, I know this place was only built in the 90s and was closed there for a few years after or around the stock market crash of '08, but this racetrack is kind of North Carolina's answer, I feel like, to Bristol almost. It's a little shorter, but it's really high banked and it races very similarly to classic Bristol. We just watch these guys dive off into the corners here. Let's watch from the driver's eye POV with Alex McCullum. Give you a sense of speed around this place. This is something I love about sim racing. During that most recent caution flag, when Kyle Terzak was, of course, pacing around ahead of Alex McCullum, he's still ahead of McCullum, but racing now ahead of that one car. But when they were pacing, Terzak sent a message to the Spencer Dickinson fan club Discord saying, "Is anybody else scared for their life or just me?" And with how close the one car is now, yeah, Terzak better be scared. Here's the onboard for McCullum's front bumper. Just how close they're getting. He's falling back a little bit now, but you see, still very, very close through the corners. And they're approaching lap traffic. That's going to make things a little more complicated See Kenneth Gallman and others up the road. Battle back here for the 10th spot. Dante Curtis, Matt Rolfe. Rolfe running a little higher. They both did that times per work lap 200 of 250. 80% of the way through this race now. And these guys are starting to work up the racetrack a little bit. There you go. Curtis and Rolfe both up in the second lane. I know a lot of these guys, they look for this particular thing to happen at these races to get a second groove going. It's a thing at Oxford, surprisingly. It's a thing here at Southern National. Trying to get that second lane rolling to give you options. Everybody wants to go to the bottom here. That's the traditional line. But if you can get the outside moving here, it's just like at Oxford, and if you can get the outside going there, you're typically going to move forward. Battle now. As they get alongside each other for a moment anyways, Rolfe then falls back behind the 0-3. Obviously, you can see where all of these drivers are running with the ticker on the left side of the screen, but as far as like a recap, let's go through the field a little bit. Front to back, of course, Turzak is up front. He leads this thing, has now led 62, working on 63 laps. McCullum has led all the rest, 142. Harberts runs in third. Josh Cottle has kind of slipped up to the front. He is fourth. Not really sure how he's managed this, but obviously this is big for him and Cottle chassis, especially after a bad outing at Five Flags. Joel Smith kind of quietly runs in fifth. Chris Horton up to sixth. Josh Parrish into seventh. Thronberg and Petter run side by side for eighth and ninth. And Dante Curtis rounds out your top 10. This gets us back to where we just were with Matt Rolfe and Cameron Hamilton. That's 11th and 12th. 13th going to Keith Jeffrey. This is a good day so far for Keith. Kyle Meyer, Langley winner, runs in the 14th spot. Bo Ledbetter runs 15th. Spencer Dickinson runs 16th. Blake Massagill is back here on the 17th spot. So far, that gamble for tires for Blake is not working out. Meanwhile, Steele Langford runs in the 18th spot. He's back on the lead lap, and this is night and day difference. He's still not where we would traditionally expect him to be, but man, is it a lot better than 28th, where he started and where he's been for a lot of the day. Oberstadt on his inside wants that spot. That would be, again, for 18th spot, so that'd be nice for Oberstadt. Back in 19th, you have your final car, or 20th rather, your final car in the lead lap. That is RJ Williams. 21st gives us our first lap down car. That's Darrell Hamlin in the 7. Matt Vorndrain runs in 22nd. And the third car one lap down is Sam Roush in 23rd. We have 3 cars, multiple laps down still running. Those are Christopher Shepard, 2 laps down. Rick Rube, 2 laps down. And Kenneth Gallman, who is 4 laps down. Jacob Hayes, Nim Cross, Drew Wooten, and Eric Tracy have all parked it. And there you see Gallman giving way to Turzak and to McCullum as the race leaders go on by. When we come back around to the stripe, we're going to have 35 laps to go. And of course, if you've watched any of these broadcasts before, you will know that every race we do something we call the North American Racing League Driver of the Day. Quite literally, it's just a Driver of the Day vote. In this case, it'll be me solely nominating the 4 drivers. But we nominate 4 drivers to go on a YouTube poll, and you viewers get to decide who wins out of the 4 that we nominate. In this case, if we get enough comments, and if we get enough viewers, I'm going to set the sky kind of high here. 40 viewers. If we get 40 concurrent viewers and get some comments flowing for a Driver of the Day pick by 20 to go. So you've got by 15 to go. How about that? You got 15 laps to do it. Share the stream around. Trevor, you got to wait. I hear you. Share the stream around. Get us to 40 viewers. I'll pick a driver out of the comments. Let's get some numbers here. Everybody deserves to see the Impel National Tour here on a Thursday evening at the virtual Lucama, North Carolina. And Terzak leading could be en route to another big SARA victory. He recently won his first SARA Super Series race back at Indianapolis Raceway Park. I want to say in October. It might have been November. Regardless, he's recently won a race in the Super Series for the very first time and would love to add a national tour victory to that resume. He's working on it here tonight, the young Virginian. Looking very, very strong as he starts to set sail away from Alex McCullum, who leads this series in just about every way. So 10 more laps to hit that viewer number, and who knows, I might nominate your driver anyways, but let's see if we can share the stream around, get some numbers up there. As we've got lap traffic, and this is going to get really hairy for the leaders. Terzak into lap traffic here, he passes Williams. Vorndran and Langford up ahead, and we saw how tough Langford was to pass 100 laps ago. Now he's side by side with Matt Vorndran. This is worst case scenario, I feel like, for Kyle Terzak. So let's monitor gap behind. As Terzak works on the way by, you see the gap back to McCullum. It closes really quick in the corners. Lengthens back a little bit. 3 wide. Terzak sends it. Oh, my. Kind of walks up the track into Langford a little bit. You see McCullum making quick work of these lappers behind him. As I said earlier, and as we saw earlier, lappers tend to be a little rougher on the leader than second place. Langford now back in the way of McCullum. McCullum goes to the outside. And Terzak now gets clear of Vorndran, now has to work on Oberstadt. McCullum gets away from Langford. And that will mark 20 laps to go for these drivers. Time is ticking. Not much happening through the rest of the top 10. There's a couple of battles. Harberts and Smith, worth considering. This is for 4th place. You also have Parrish and Petter. Look at these two side by side. This is back here for 7th, so we might not be home free. Anytime we have cars side by side here, we could absolutely have a crash, have a caution. Look at that. It's Alex McCullum. Alex McCullum going to pay a visit there to Matt Vorndran. Caution is out. And Alex is the caution. Something tells me Alex will not be in the Myrtle Beach 300. This is large. This is really, really big. Let's see how it happened. Alex down to the inside in 1 and 2. I mean, we need a better angle. We'll get that. But based on that angle, it looks a whole lot like Alex's fault. I don't know where you want him to go. And to be clear, I don't know for sure that Alex is mad about this. I'd imagine he's not happy. He certainly isn't jumping for joy, but Alex, I just runs up into Matt. I don't know where Matt's supposed to go in that situation. I know Alex would have loved if Matt wasn't there, but he was. That's tricky. But here we go. We're going to do rapid fire NARL driver of the day under this caution. We didn't quite hit our number of 40, but I don't think you guys have to worry too much because Josh Cottle is absolutely going on the list. Kyle Terzak also going on the list. I think we're going green this time. So I wanted to bring up something really quick. Here's the positions gained. Because Matt Rolfe is back up to 20 spots gained. Absolutely, he's going on the list. And I think Joel Smith might be as well. I'm going to think about that as we go back green. Green flag is out once again. We are racing here again at Southern National. Big move from Horton to the inside of Joel Smith. We are racing with 12 to go. Coming to 11 to go in the Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic. Ten laps to go around this 4/10 of a mile speedway. Contact, Joel Smith, Chris Horton. Battles for second, battles for fourth, and a lot of battles back behind as Josh Cottle and Jacob Harberts rub doors. The North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote is live. Your options, Kyle Terzak, Josh Cottle, Joel Smith, and Matt Rolfe. You watch here the battle for second place. You see the battles in the background. Just a handful of laps to go. Smith has cleared Horton. Horton over Petter. They're side by side. In the wall hard is Josh Parrish. He's still got the position over Blake Thronberg, but it's going to be hard to hold it now with all that damage to the right side. That stacks him up behind. Dante Curtis on the outside of Cameron Hamilton. Matt Rolfe is behind. Keith Jeffrey is there. And Cottle slips in behind Harberts, it looks like. So single file for second, side by side for fifth. All while Kyle Terzak is now just over 4 laps away from winning in the Impel Motorsports National Tour. 4 laps to go for Kyle Terzak. He ran here last weekend in the Charger division. Yes, at the real Southern National Motorsports Park. He's trying to make his way in short track racing. He's got a Super Series win recently back at IRP. Not even a couple of months ago. 2 laps to go for Terzak. What's happening behind him? Chaos. Chaos is happening behind him. Harberts, Cottle, nose to tail. Smith is there in 4th. Petter is in the top 5. Horton would like to change that. White flag is out, though. One more time around for Kyle Terzak. Southern National Motorsports Park looking like a conveyor belt. But at the very front, Kyle Terzak is going to win a National Tour race. Driver 15, posted to victory lane. It's all finally paying off for this guy. All of the hard work recently to get up to par with the best of the best in sim short track racing. I've been a believer in Kyle Terzak for a while. I think he's a good kid. He's clearly fast. He's just been needing a couple of these wins to put under his belt and show that he can get it done, and he gets it done here at the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. The Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic will belong to Kyle Terzak and RKM Setup Shop tonight. A long 250 laps. Let's take a look back at the unofficial race results. When it's all said and done here at Southern National, it's going to be Kyle Terzak, of course, out front, but who files in behind? none other than Jacob Harberts in that second spot. We'll be talking to the whole top three. Throw in Josh Cottle as Josh gets back to the line about 0.3 ahead of Joel Smith. It was close there with Tracy Petter and Chris Horton. A little bit of room back to Josh Parrish, who hangs on for a top 10. I know it's not quite what he would have liked, but I think he'll take it, given the night that he had, looking like a pinball out there. Blake Thronberg, 8th. Honestly, considering how far Blake went back in that opening green flag run, I think that's okay. Dante Curtis drove back into the top 10. That's cool to see. And Cameron Hamilton continues just staying consistent here in the Sim Auto Racing Association. Back in 11th spot, it is going to be Matt Rolfe, who's on the ballot for driver of the day. Keith Jeffrey slots in behind both of those guys. Very impressive to see them up the order like that. Matt started 29th. He had to come through a provisional to make it into this race and ends up finishing 11th. Keith Jeffrey, I think, started around 19th spot and drove up through the field a little bit. He has a lot of bad luck usually, so it's cool to see him finally have a decent day here in this series. Kyle Meyer, 13th. Spencer Dickinson hangs on to 14th. Blake Massengill never did quite get back up there. He will finish 15th over Bo Ledbetter and Alex McCullum, who tagged the back end of the lead lap. Steele Langford ended up one lap down. It was all said and done. I will say, for Steele, considering how that car looked in the heat race, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. To be up those 10 spots and have it all under control by the end, only the one lap down. For how that car looked in the heat, that's a lot better. So I think that's not quite a win for Steele. Maybe you got to feel like a top 10 or something. RJ Williams, 19th. Daryl Hamlin, 20th. Back in 21st, it's Matt Vorndran. Hate that he got caught up in that crash with Alex McCullum on the back straightaway. Christopher Shepard, we don't see him terribly often. He finishes 22nd. Rick Rube there in 23rd. Kenneth Gallman, 24th. A bunch of these guys that don't run as often. Kind of not having great nights, unfortunately. With Gallman, Oberstadt, Roush all back here. A handful of these guys out early. I think Roush was out early along with Hayes, Cross, Wooten, and Tracy. Well, we can bring in our top three finishers and start off, of course, with our race winner. Yes, our Impel Motorsports National Tour Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic, say that 5 times fast, race winner, Kyle Turzak. Kyle, I mean, you were on Alex that whole long green flag run we had early, but what was it in that pit stop that flipped the script for you?
Honestly, I have no idea. Last night, the same thing happened. I led the entire Winter Derby and couldn't beat me out of the pits. So I was like, what? He came from third, so I just got a lucky stop, to be honest with you. And clean air definitely helped me at the end right there. I think that's the only reason why I beat McCollum was that pit stop. So, he was definitely the car to beat tonight. But once I got that clean air, and it was turning pretty good once I got that clean air. But as soon as when I got behind him, I was just too tight, and I felt like my car was a clean air car. And I just honestly got really lucky on that pit stop.
Of course, lap traffic ended up biting Alex, but until then, when he was on your back bumper, or at least breathing down your neck, very close, trying to close in again, and you guys entered that lap traffic before that caution came out, how nerve-wracking was that? I know you typed it in the Spencer Dickinson channel, that you were fearing for your life at one point. How nerve-wracking was that truly to have Alex behind you, lap traffic ahead, and laps are running out?
Well, I knew that, earlier in the race, we had some trouble getting around lap traffic with the top coming in, and I knew that, once we got down to the end of it, I knew that lap cars would be more lenient, if that makes sense, and they would, let you go more often, but it was honestly really nerve-wracking because I saw McCollum would gain by a 10th, and I would get him back by a little bit, and then he would gain a 10th, and it was just back and forth, but McCollum is always a threat, and when I knew that once we got in lap traffic, I had to take advantage of it, and I feel like I did that the best I could.
Well, hey, let's bring up this little graphic down bottom right of the screen. I'll share my screen so you can see it. Give me 2 seconds here. So you can take a look there, power rankings. You're second all of a sudden, and this is before tonight. So you're going to go higher, at least as far as that score. I don't know where Alex is going to be after his not so great finish after that caution. You're pretty much the top of the series. What is this like to suddenly be kind of looking down on everybody below you? Like, you know, they're your royal subjects. You've suddenly positioned yourself at the top here, winning races, at least contending for wins all the time. How satisfying is it?
It's an honor. You know, I got that win at IRP. I knew that was the start, and went to Concord, finished third there, and I knew that we got to keep this momentum up. You know, got home around 6 o'clock tonight, and I did a full complete race run just to see what we had, and I feel like we were pretty good. Made some slight changes to the Q setup and went with it, and I knew that we had a really good car. It's just, you know, like I said, this entire series is a lot of good drivers, best of the best at short track, so it's really an honor to be up there. You know, like McCullum, Harberts, Ducato. I remember a couple years ago I wasn't even close to them, and to be this competitive now is really a blessing.
So there you go. Kyle Terzak might just be the top of the power rankings going into Kern here in a couple of weeks. Kyle, congratulations. Hopefully we're talking to you in California in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Kyle Terzak with another big win here in the SARA National Tour now, as opposed to the Super Series. Let's go on down and grab second place. That's going to be Jacob Harberts. And I know it was kind of feast or famine at Black Magic today. I know Blake had a decent day, Dante had a decent day, and Alex had a great day going until everything unraveled for him. But for you, Jacob, of course, you guys worked very closely. That kind of helped you. It gave you a spot and gave you a chance to regroup and hold off Josh Cottle. What was your day like, though, leading up to that?
It's very just by myself the whole night is what it felt like. It's like I just wasn't good enough to run with the 1 and the 15, but then, you know, at least for the first 150 plus laps, just felt like I was just kind of a league of my own where, you know, I didn't have anyone on my bumper, and that was it. And then we had the caution, pit stops, and I missed the pit stop adjustments a little bit. I was very tight. I know everyone was probably, you know, saying the same thing, that they were tight, but I could have gone more aggressive on the pit stop adjustments, and I should have, but you live and you learn.
So going into Kern in a couple of weeks, of course, there's a lot of big events around iRacing right now and such, but the next one for the series is the Kern Winter Classic. And if we look at the points coming into tonight, I don't really know what's going to happen, right? Because Alex is up there. He's ahead of all of you guys. He has a bad night. I don't know how the drops are going to sort out. So what's the game plan right now? Shifting gears, starting to focus up on Kern now in 2 weeks. Back over to the Super Late model for not just you, but for Black Magic. What do you guys do to regroup and go out there with fast cars again and try to take the top spots?
Honestly, probably take the package that we ran at Five Flags and try and transfer that over to Kern County. As far as points go, I think we're looking pretty solid. Alex had a pretty comfortable lead over Cole. I'd have to do some math, but I don't think Alex has to do a whole lot other than kind of show up. I'm not really sitting that good in points. I've had a rough season as far as National Tour goes, but you know, still just trying to hang out, have some fun, and get some good finishes, which is what we were able to do tonight.
I know we've seen some conversation lately in the ye old Spencer Dickinson fan club Discord, and there's been some conversation even between you and I when we met up at Martinsville about what we could do maybe to add to this national tour. I'm going to give you a second. Floor is yours. What do you have in mind? If you were to get creative and work with Matt Rolfe, what would you do to maybe add just a little more flavor to this series in 2026?
I'd really like some new cars. I say new, just new to us, and as far as SARA goes, you know, the ARCA or the Tour modified cars, I think would be a lot of fun. It would just mix stuff up. You know, everyone's still finding, you know, just that little bit extra each week as far as late model stocks and super late models go. But you know, we've been running the same cars for several years now. Everyone has really got their stuff tuned up pretty good, and you know, we're all so close, which makes it that much more difficult to pass. So I think, you know, if we just mixed it up, cars that, you know, people aren't used to racing and, you know, setting up, I think it'd be a lot of fun just to, you know, see who excels and, you know, who falls behind.
There you go. Jacob Harbert's position number 2 tonight. No lap sled, but close a couple of times. Hopefully we're talking to you at Kern.
Thank you.
Jacob Harberts will finish second place, but gets it done over Josh Cottle. Now, I suspect we're going to be giving an award here to driver number 13, but let's bring in Josh. Third place tonight. You had to work for it, though. 14th in qualifying, had to work up through the field. What was that like?
It was a brawl, dude. I mean, when we got that first caution, I really did not want it, man. I was saving tires so hard. I was like, if this thing goes green like the fall brawl does, I'm not making a mistake and burning my stuff up and having to put it on green. And it almost worked. It almost worked, but I had a really good piece tonight, man. It just, after that caution came out, I think I was 8th or something, and after, kind of qualifying in the back, well, mid-pack, I was very happy with that. Then all of a sudden, the green comes out, and I'm like, man, this thing's a rocket.
I always like to ask you guys about your driver, maybe not lives, like your team stuff, team happenings and such. And as far as the shop and Cottle chassis, we haven't seen much Cole Caber, we haven't seen much Trevor Edwards. So as a driver, you're kind of stepping into their role at the top of what you guys are putting out at the shop and Cottle chassis, kind of carrying the flag, leading forward. What's that transition been like, and how are you trying to help Blake Mastigill and others catch up and stick with you and represent there as well?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm taking over their spot. They're still really good drivers. I mean, Cole's going to come back eventually. He's just been busy with real life racing. Trevor has just been busy with family stuff, but I'm trying my best, Andrew. You know it. I mean, we had a good piece tonight, and after, how bad we were at the fall brawl, I'm just happy to even run good tonight. And I don't know. Hopefully this momentum continues. I don't know. We'll see, but that's the hope.
And back to the fall brawl really quick. We didn't get to talk to you after that race. Did you officially have a tire go down?
Yeah, I blew a left rear tire. That's why I started wrecking towards lap 50. So when Williamson got into me and I saved it, my tire was cooked and I could not control it after that.
Well, we don't see that very often, obviously, in iRacing, so that's kind of a special thing whenever it does happen. Obviously, not special for you. Wish it hadn't happened to you, but
I wish it didn't happen either.
Yeah, just you don't hear about that every day. But Josh, good to talk to you for a good reason here tonight. Third place, and hopefully this continues into Kern.
Hopefully, man. I just want to thank the shop. Obviously, we had a really good piece, man. I was hoping the strategy worked out for me and the race went green. It didn't, but I mean, we still came back and had a good finish regardless. Congrats to Turzak on the win. He drove a hard one tonight and did a very good job. Congrats to Harberts on second. He's my buddy, and we raced really clean. Cleanest racers you can race against up front. Thank you to Cobble Chassis, all the boys tonight. I mean, no drama, just had some really good cars and very happy with the effort we all had in this race. Thank you to Hayes Fusion One Graphics for the beautiful red scheme. Thank you to Matt for the race, and thank you for the broadcast. I hope it was exciting. Pretty scary out there, but it was still fun.
Definitely a lot of fun to watch this evening. Congratulations again, Josh, and hopefully we're talking to you at Kern later. And I got to ask, I know Cottle Chassis is involved with Only Short Tracks and the Myrtle Beach 300 this week. Are you in that one?
I don't know if I'm racing yet. I haven't decided. It just depends. I don't know. I kind of want to take a break from iRacing a little bit before Kern, or because the Winter Derby's this week, and I don't know if I'm racing that yet. But after this, I kind of want to take a break, but I'm sure I'll be involved in some way.
Well, hey, regardless of when we see you next, congratulations on third place, and you are today's driver of the day.
Heck yeah. I don't think I've ever won that award before, so that feels good. Thank you, Andrew, for the broadcast again.
Good to talk to you. That's Josh Cottle, third place, and a big day for him, I'd say, to get back up on the saddle and get back into the front of the field. I think that's definitely satisfying for him, as he mentioned. Had a bad showing at Five Flags in the Fall Brawl, but back up there this evening here at Southern National Motorsports Park, and he is today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day, as voted on by you guys over on YouTube. Next up for this series, as we've been talking about, Kern County, Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway for the Nautical Marine Kern Winter Classic. Going to be a lot of fun. 2 weeks time. That is coming up next for the SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour, and that'll cap off the championship. But if we revisit the point standings coming into tonight, there isn't much threat, I think, for the championship. I think realistically it is very much going to be Alex McCullum. But it's at least going to spice things up to have him not earn as many points this evening. And yeah, Cameron finished ahead of him. I don't know it's going to do a whole lot, unfortunately, but I say unfortunately. Unfortunately, as far as the drama aspect, obviously Alex has worked his tail off, and I don't want to discredit anything he's done this season. 3 wins, big number, that's awesome. But admittedly, selfishly, we want to see a battle for it. But Alex has just positioned himself to kind of walk off into the sunset and likely take this thing at Kern no matter what. But we'll stay abreast of the situation and of course have the new graphic at Kern in 2 weeks and be able to inform everybody what's going on in that battle when we get there. But that's how things looked coming into tonight. It'll be interesting to see how things change going into Kern in 2 weeks. A big thank you goes out to all partners with the series. Of course, Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, tonight's presenting partner, RJW21 Management, that's otherwise RJ Williams, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimRepMarket.com, the Association, Thronberg Construction, Trackside Threads, and Velocity Motorsports. A big thank you as well to our partners with the channel, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. I would say, I've been forgetting to do this lately, but the Lucky Performance Lucky Break of the day today, if I had to get one out there, it would be certainly to Matt Rolfe. I think undoubtedly, in my opinion, and maybe not so lucky that he kind of chose. Oh, come on, Spencer. Think about this. Matt, of course, I think he gets to kind of choose himself as the provisional. I don't know the process there. I don't want to speak too much on that, matter-of-factly on it. But he skates into the feature, starts 29th, was in the top 10, in the top 5. And Matt is able to still finish 11th place. And ahead of you, Spencer Dickinson. I know you drove your tail off tonight, and I want to give you respect for that as well. But Matt Rolfe, very solid drive into the top 5 at one point in this race from 29th position. That's rare. You just don't see that very often. So congratulations to Matt Rolfe. I'm going to give that award out to him tonight. Hey, you know what? I get it. I get it, Spencer. Lucky dog and everything. That sounds lucky, but I don't know. I feel like, I tell you what, if we can have a lucky dog or lucky performance, lucky break of the day runner-up, I'll give that to Spencer Dickinson, so he can be the runner-up to it tonight. But what's upcoming for us here at the channel is as follows. The Only Short Tracks Myrtle Beach 300 is this Saturday, December 6th. I know it's a big weekend in short track racing on the sim anyways. The Winter Derby is this weekend. Stay tuned on that. Hint, hint, wink, wink, maybe. But otherwise, our next couple of broadcasts here at Pitstop TV are on Tuesdays. And those are going to be the BRB Sundance Pro Series with ARCA cars headed out to Pocono and to Auto Club Speedway. That will do it for us this evening from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you all next time for, hopefully, the Only Short Tracks Myrtle Beach 300 this weekend. Otherwise, maybe we'll see you for the finale of this Impel National Tour as we get ready for Kern Raceway. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you for the Kern Winter Classic.